Everyone, hopefully the hedging has gone well for you. This is an update on the crypto hedge play that I highlighted a few videos ago, and it centers around the BITO ETF, which is, again, I got to get this right, the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, which is based on Bitcoin futures. And I saw this as a way to hedge ourselves against potential downside. As of our last update, we had what looked like a good downside setup, which could have had us going down in our red alternate pattern, which is actually not illustrated here on our Bitcoin chart, but we certainly do have this on our Ethereum chart and pretty much every other crypto chart that I have at the moment. And we have reason to believe that we are going to head lower, as we've had several coins break their lower supports. Chainlink was the most prominent one. I put out a community post on this, but ever since then, well, before that, we had Polygon break its support. We've had Shiba Inu break its support. Polygon actually was the first one to break. And since our last update, we've actually had Polkadot break its support as well. So the dominoes are falling one by one. Some of the coins are creeping closer and closer. And again, it looks like we're going to have some downside setup after all. So back to Bitcoin once again. Our support sits at 34,332. Breaking that would very likely get us a bit lower. And well, I have the same support set up in our BITO chart as well. So we had a corrective bounce that is almost certainly corrective. We've gone too deep for this to be a fourth wave. And as I mentioned, yes, there's a chance we spike back up and get that fifth wave higher, but it is extremely unlikely at the moment. So I expect us to go a little bit lower before we're done. So to make more sense of this, going to go back to our big picture chart. And I'm actually going to start with the Bitcoin chart to make things a bit simpler. We have that purple, lavender, indigo, whatever box below us. And well, it's looming large right now. You can see I have that orange dotted line. I have an alert set up right at that major support. I would say major, but support. That would basically invalidate this entire thing, as in this would be best identified as a corrective fourth wave, with the fifth wave coming to finish off our pullback that started way back in the spring of 2021. So yes, over a year, we've been in a correction, but that's what you would expect for fourth wave. Fourth waves are long and drawn out, and you've seen the same thing on a smaller degree. This being a fourth wave has also been long and drawn out. We do have our MACD divergence still holding, so lots of signs that we're very close to a bottom. So we may see a crazy spike. I know the equities markets have been pulling back. It looked like we had the makings of a new rally. This is the S&P 500. However, we've had things turn back around. Our rally off the low has clearly looked very corrective, ABC up, and it looks like we may be setting up to close in the red. Now, cryptos, on the other hand, are not following suit quite as promptly as most of the sectors in the stock market have. So there is a chance that we see our bottoming happen over the weekend. We've seen this happen before, where the stocks, because they have much higher volume during the weekdays, during trading hours, you see sharp movements, a lot of things going on, while cryptos sometimes trail or they move ahead. So don't be surprised if we see this kind of follow through happen over the weekend, which explains the timing for my video on BITO. So in our last update, meaning our first update on BITO, I went over a put options play to hedge yourself, and I did actually buy positions. I bought a handful of BITO puts for $20 strike, and I think I got around probably about 67, 70 cents, something like that. And right now I'm up about 45%, because I believe we were up at the 24.50 mark in our last update. We're down to about 22.33 BITO. And as I mentioned, there is reason to believe we're going to go lower. This chart obviously doesn't have as much history. So if you didn't watch my last update, definitely check it out. But I recreated the overall rally structure since the 2020 bottom, March 2020 bottom, using Bitcoin and the conversion factor. I can't remember what it was. I'll have it written in the description in case you want to convert BITO to Bitcoin or vice versa. But please take with a grain of salt, because these things don't always track perfectly, and the conversion factor does kind of float. That's how ETFs are. They're not perfect, especially futures-based ones. So I still have this pattern. Nothing has changed. We had our fourth wave bounce as we were looking at on the Bitcoin chart, and we're presumably finishing off the fifth wave down. I've actually zoomed out a little too much. I'm going to zoom back in a little bit. That will give us a bit more detail on what we're seeing here. So I built out this Fibonacci structure, assuming this is a 3, and we have a fourth wave bounce. And typically, if you see that, you'd expect our fifth wave to land at the 0.32, 0.5, or 0.61 extension. I'm going to go with the 0.61 extension. Doesn't mean it will happen, but I would like to see that, not because I'm sadistic, but it would make this chart much easier to follow. That'd put us at about 19.15. There's a chance we go down to the $17 mark. I don't know if we're going to go too much lower because there's only so much time we have to complete this structure. Zooming back out. Once that happens, we should be zooming up. So if you are holding BITO puts, I would say keep holding them this weekend. We may see a gap down if we do end up following through. There's a chance that we bottom and then we bounce by the time Monday comes around. Again, I'm making this, I'm emphasizing this point because this is an ETF. It's not like cryptos. They don't trade around the clock. So was it 3 p.m. my time locally or 8:30 a.m. my time? Again, I'm in Texas Central Time in the US, Chicago time. So for me, those are the parameters I go with. So if we do see that swoon over the weekend, there's a good chance you're going to want to dump those puts at the very beginning of the market on Monday. Again, I'm just purely speculating here. There's a chance this is a bit more dragged down. It takes longer. But if we see a spike down to finish this crash, I wouldn't be too surprised, honestly. You can already see this red candle. Don't be surprised by double-digit losses on some of these days, but that's why we hedge. So that is where we stand. There will be some incredible long side plays once this is over. So I'll definitely be making videos on that. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. There's going to be not just for BITO, but I also went over some of our Bitcoin blockchain mining and infrastructure stocks, Riot and Marathon Holdings, Marathon Digital Holdings. There's some incredible potential coming. So this particular series may continue with those. I may actually have all the leveraged options crypto plays grouped together in the same video series. So lots to look forward to. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed my video. And until next time, happy hedging.